Without taking it out of the box.
Greenville City Council will come to order. We need to appoint pro tem, right? Katie?
Yes.
Okay. Call roll?
Rogers?
Yeah.
Schmidt?
We're voting on the approval or the attendance?
This is just roll call.
Okay, here.
Whitaker?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Ely? Here. Godwin?
Here.
Norris?
Here. Okay, if everyone would rise for the pledge.
I gotta go fall over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. All right, city council members, you were emailed out the minutes. They will stand approved as sent out unless there's discussion on it. Not they, so approved. You were also emailed out the approval of the current financial report. I will take a motion to approve that or
So moved.
discussion on it. Okay, been moved by Mr. Brown to approve. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, approval of the agenda. There is a need for executive session. ORC 121.22.1, it's executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Move to approve the agenda as amended?
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as amended. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Moving on to administrative reports, Mr. Mayor.
Public hearings.
Public hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry, public hearing. Hang on, Mr. Mayor. Public hearing.
Okay, well, I was all fired up to talk about monarchs because tonight is the spring. Of course, I panicked, so I spent all day going to the milkweed that I knew existed in this city. And I did find a couple caterpillars, and I found about 20 eggs because I had a long conversation with Shawnee Prairie, and they said they were not aware of any pesticides that only killed the mosquitoes. She said they kill everything that flies, and hummingbirds and butterflies that roost in the trees and whatever. So we are now I'm just sharing this information. Mr. Clarence said that he talked to somebody, and I am going to pursue that. I have been working on that after he shared his information about it doesn't do that. But we are now in the critical stage of the monarchs. This little guy right here will become a butterfly in about 3 weeks. That monarch will then lay eggs, and it's those eggs that will open up and head to Mexico, or try to get to Mexico. And if you keep track of what's going on in the early bird, twice now we've had butterflies get all the way to Mexico. They've got the certificate. One got there about a year ago. So to think something so tiny and so fragile makes its way, it's like 2,000 or 3,000 miles to get there, and all that they have to go through. So I am waded through poison ivy and everything else. So I am passionate about my monarchs. So I've already wrapped my butterfly bush because I have hummingbirds, and she did say that bees will come out in the morning and pick up the pesticide on their feet, and that it will kill them because they'll get the pollen out of the flowers. So I couldn't wrap all my flowers, but I did my best for the monarchs. So that it was one thing I wanted to discuss. So tonight's the night. I'll be up at 9 o'clock watching this thing go by to see what it looks like. I've seen it before, and it was like a fog. The other thing I want to bring up is I had a visit from AES this week. I thought I was done with those people. I have paid the $98.89, and they charged me $30 extra a month just because I said no to their smart meters. Now, what I don't understand about this company is I could name you a dozen people, but I won't because I won't reveal their identity. But they said no, and they've not been charged $98.89, nor are they being charged $30 extra on their electric bill. I do not understand it, how they're picking and choosing who has to pay the extra money. And I went to visit with a lady today. She didn't know anything about the smart meters. And I said, well, can I check? And I'll tell you whether you got it or not. And she said, sure. So we go back, and from a distance, I could see the face of it. I said, you've got it. I can tell. It's real white. I said, didn't you get a phone call? No. Did you get a door hanger? No. And so this company, well, when the guy showed up at my house on Monday, he says, I'm here to change your meter. I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. I've already done paid that $98.89, which they claimed it was to be used to repair the meter if it breaks. Well, that's a lie, because it's their meter and they'll replace it anyway. So they shouldn't be charging $98.89 to repair that. And so I told him I didn't want it. If I had not been home, I can assure you those people would have switched out that meter. And once it's in, they will not take it out. So this company, and if you've been following the news, I know we're in an aggregation, I know that, but their prices are going up. And it's going to jump by about $5 to $6 a month. And I think if they're going to raise it, the first year it'll be a discount, the second and third year the prices are going up. So I don't understand how a company like that can come to your house and do things without your permission, because it's happened to a number of people that I've talked to. I mean, what do? Do I call the Attorney General? Do I write a letter to the Public Utility Company that these people are doing this? Do I come to City Council and voice what's going on? I don't know what to do. I'm just glad that I was there, because they have record that I said no, and he was determined to change it out Monday. And so.
Yeah, I think it would be the Public Utility Commission.
Okay.
Really, the City Council has not a whole lot to do with it. Am I missing anything?
No.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do next, because I don't want that. It's just, I think it's trouble. So anyway, that's all I have for this time around.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Media, would you like to talk about anything? All right, so now I'll jump to Mr. Mayor.
Ready for all this, and I think I'll pass. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Safety Service Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few things for this evening, just a couple updates on some projects. Ohio Street is pretty much buttoned up except for the traffic light. Once that gets installed, we'll do a final walkthrough and make sure everything's back the way it should be, but we've had a lot of positive comments on it, and the bike path. And a couple weekends ago, Bish Discovery Center had a bike, I don't know, 5K, I don't know what you call it in the biking world, but had a bike rodeo, and they utilized it, and it worked out great as far as safety for the bike path and getting everything connected. So really happy with the way that turned out. The 502 project, I spoke with the contractors last week, and they have pushed the start date back to October 1 due to Shawnee Prairie has Prairie Days, September 23rd and 24th. It's their biggest event of the year, so we kind of discussed it and thought it would be best to push that back. And then as I get more information on the 502 project, I will inform council. And then lastly for this evening, this is all very preliminary, but right now we're currently working on speccing out a new flusher slash vac truck for the wastewater department. The street department actually houses it, and that's what goes out, and they do hydro excavating and flush sewer lines, storm and sanitary. Versailles found out that we were looking into a new one, and so they approached us and asked if we would be willing to sell ours to them if, a lot of ifs here. If we buy a new one and the price works out and they want ours, they did come and look at it and have some interest, but I told them, Versailles, that I would at least bring it up to council because they want to try to put some budget numbers together for them to purchase next year if they want to. So again, it has to be budgeted for our new one, and then we have to get our new one, and all that has to be approved. And then if all that's approved, if everyone's on board, I will just inform Versailles that we're willing to sell it to them, and that's a easy switch from municipality to municipality. I don't remember if a lot of you were on council. We did the same thing with the street sweeper with Village of Arcanum.
How old's our now?
Back as a 2017.
Or we have a lot of maintenance issues.
We are not. It's actually been a very good vac. It's at the point where it still has pretty substantial value, and once you start to get past year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's when the value really starts to go down, and problems seem to, at least the experience with our last one, that's when you really start to see big maintenance items. And they're expensive pieces of equipment, they're expensive to maintain, they're expensive to repair. Any other questions?
Do we need like a show of you're good with it, or
No, I mean,
we'll bring, when
That's-
it
yeah.
comes time, you bring?
when it comes time, I'll bring legislation, but if someone has like a major objection, you know, I don't want to sell it to Versailles, then that would be my question.
They won't give it back either.
You want to keep all your toys.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, I will pass.
All right, thank you. Mr. Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just one thing, we had discussed at the last meeting, working with Omni Fiber, and so Mr. Delk and I kind of came up with an agreement. That's the last piece of legislation tonight. So what you see is it obviously drastically increases the street openings. One of the protections we put in place for the city is that's only through the end of the year. This project is expected to take longer. So our hope was that we do this to make sure everything's going well through the end of the year. And if we need to revisit it in January, we can. So it's not anticipated that we'll be able to complete the project or even do this amount of openings. We put a number that wouldn't prohibit them from moving forward at the pace they want, and we increased the bond to make sure that we're covered. So that's kind of that last piece of legislation I know we had talked about. I just wanted to explain that a little more. And with that, I'll answer any questions anyone has.
Okay, thank you. Acting City Auditor.
I will pass, Mr. President. Thank you.
Pass.
I will.
Does anyone have any, like, 15-minute questions for Kim? Right there.
Now's your chance.
All right, moving on to, next we have a committee report coming from the Utility Committee, reviewing water and bulk water rates and ethanol contract.
Greenville City Council, honorable members of council, the Utilities Committee hereby submits our report. The Utilities Committee met on July 27, 2023 in the council chambers to discuss the water and sewer rates for the city and for Anderson Marathon ethanol, as well as bulk water rate and hydrant meters. The last water and sewer rate increase was 10% in March of 2023. The cost of chemicals for water and sewer increased by 10% in 2022 and an additional 17% in 2023. To keep up with inflation, it is recommended to City Council to increase the water and sewer rates by 5% effective March 1st, 2024. The bulk water rate is currently $12.50 per 1,000 gallons. There's a $17 fee on the city's end to distribute a key fob that allows customers to use the water access. The committee recommends to City Council that the bulk water rate increase to $20 per 1,000 gallons with a 1,000 gallon minimum, $20 to open a new customer account, and $20 for a key fob. This will allow the city to pay for improvements to the location. The rate will be effective September 1st, 2023. Lastly, a hydrant meter is a water tap that connects to a fire hydrant, which has a city meter and backflow preventer. The hydrant meter would be used only for new construction in the city with a deposit of $3,500 that would be returned to the customer once the hydrant meter was returned to the city in the same condition. The committee recommends to council that the city collect a deposit of $3,500 for rental of a hydrant meter as long as it is returned in the same condition. The water rate for the hydrant meter would be $20 per 1,000 gallons of water, the same as the bulk water rate, effective September 1st, 2023. Respectfully submitted, Committee on Utilities, Clarence Godwin, Chairman, Chris Norris, Vice Chairman, and Brian Brown, Member.
Councilmembers, you've heard that reading. I'll take a motion to accept or not to accept.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to accept the Utility Committee report. Discussion.
I didn't hear anything about the ethanol.
I'm going to ask for an extension
Oh, okay.
after probably the first of the year.
So while we're talking that, I'll grant that extension due on the first meeting of 2024. Is that good?
Yep.
Will that give administration time to work out? Okay. Any other discussion?
In relationship to raises and so forth, I have a sister that lives in New Madison. She pays over $100 per month. It does include trash, but it has the, basically the same type of situation we have. So she's paying over $100 a month.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, and then next we have a utility committee review curb radius for future maintenance paving. Do you have anything?
Get an extension on that too.
When would you like to
We
extend?
got a meeting coming up the end of this month. Yeah, the 30th.
Second meeting in September.
You want to do the second meeting September the 19th? Okay, I'll grant that. 9/19. All right, that completes the utility committee reports. Moving on to ordinances and resolution. Number one, we have a resolution authorizing a contract not to exceed 1 year with Lippman Thomas Agency, and this does have an emergency clause.
A resolution authorizing a contract not to exceed 1 year in duration with Lippman Thomas Insurance Agency for the providing of liability insurance coverage for the city of Greenville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Abstain.
I'll grant that. Thank you.
A resolution authorizing a contract not to exceed 1 year in duration with Lippman Thomas Insurance Agency for the providing of liability insurance coverage for the city of Greenville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. A resolution authorizing a contract not to exceed 1 year in duration with Lippman Thomas Insurance Agency for the providing of liability insurance coverage for the city of Greenville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Move to adopt the emergency clause.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the emergency clause. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Abstain.
Move to adopt.
Been moved to adopt resolution. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Abstained.
Okay, passes. Next, we have a resolution, Knox's weed mowing and trash removal assessments for 2023, and this has emergency clause.
A resolution certifying to the Dark County Auditor certain amounts to be entered upon tax duplicates as liens representing expenses incurred by the city of Greenville, Ohio for its services rendered in cutting and destroying noxious weeds or removing litter pursuant to the authority granted by sections 731.51 to 731.53, inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency. This resolution will assess noxious weed mowing and trash removals to multiple parcels. This resolution has an emergency clause.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution its second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading, title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Do you have to read that whole thing?
Yeah.
We're going to be here an hour.
A resolution certifying to the Dark County Auditor certain amounts to be entered upon tax duplicates as liens representing expenses incurred by the city of Greenville, Ohio for its services rendered in cutting and destroying noxious weeds or removing litter pursuant to authority granted by section 731.51 to 731.53, inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency. A resolution certifying to the Dark County Auditor certain amounts to be entered upon tax duplicates as liens representing expenses incurred by the city of Greenville, Ohio for its services rendered in cutting and destroying noxious weeds or removing litter pursuant to authority granted by Section 731.51 to 731.53, inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency.
Move to adopt the emergency clause.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt emergency clause. Discussion on the emergency clause. Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to adopt. Discussion. Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to ordinance resolution number 3, a resolution writing off normal accounts within the city of Greenville.
A resolution writing off the nominal accounts within the city of Greenville. This resolution allows for the write-off of nominal amounts in the city of Greenville accounts with no account having a balance greater than $36.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
A resolution writing off the nominal accounts with the city of Greenville. A resolution writing off the nominal accounts with the city of Greenville.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the resolution. Discussion.
What kind of accounts are these?
So essentially it would be like a water bill that's due that we've been trying to collect.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
$4, and we've sent notices, or if there was a
Right.
credit on account that we've tried to refund, most of them come out of the utilities department.
Okay.
What do,
We always make an effort to do it, but then once we've made so many efforts, we have these open accounts that just allows us to write off when they're not a significant sum.
what's your estimate for the year? Do you have one? I mean, would you have one?
Yeah, I think like the year's like $35.
Oh, this is it, okay.
It doesn't, most people either take their money or they pay what's owed. It's the exception to the rule that we
And we
have.
can handle that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on to number 4, a supplemental ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. This supplemental ordinance allows for appropriations in the general fund, park fund, and waterworks surplus fund in the sum as follows. New equipment, police department, in the amount of $5,300. These funds are needed for a badge and body armor for new officers and were provided for by reimbursements from a former officer. Equipment maintenance park in the amount of $12,247.21. These funds are from an insurance reimbursement to repair shelter house number 3. New equipment waterworks surplus in the amount of $272,347.60. These funds are needed for the 502 Main Waterline project and were provided for by a state grant.
Move to suspend the rules and give this ordinance second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second, third reading. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. And an ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to adopt. Discussion.
Is that the funds were provided by a former officer? Did they write a check, or how's that work?
So when officers leave, if they haven't been here through their contractual time, which I think is 3 years, if they leave before the 3 years, they owe the city back their training costs. And so we had an officer leave before he finished his contractual 3 years, so he was obligated to pay back and has paid back. That's why we have the funds.
Cool. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 5, we have a transfer ordinance.
An ordinance for the transfer of funds among the appropriations of the various funds of the city of Greenville. This transfer ordinance allows for transfer of funds in the public transportation account in the sum as follows. $83 from gas, oil, and supplies, public transportation, to travel and bond public transportation. These funds are needed for cost of travel to and from an ODOT conference in Columbus, Ohio.
Move to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
An ordinance for the transfer of funds among the appropriations of the various funds of the city of Greenville. An ordinance for the transfer of funds among the appropriations of various funds of the city of Greenville.
Move to
Move to
adopt.
adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we have a resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into an agreement to purchase 2 trucks for the Water Department.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into an agreement to purchase 2 trucks to be used by the Water Department. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into an agreement to purchase 2 2024 GMC Sierra trucks for the Water Department.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution its second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into an agreement to purchase 2 trucks to be used by the Water Department. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into an agreement to purchase 2 trucks to be used by the Water Department.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the resolution. Discussion?
We get like a giant discount for buying.
You get a complete discount.
Okay, that's good.
It's actually, there's like a state program that cities and governments.
So this is not on the state program, and that's part of the problem, is the state program, because of COVID and truck shortages or vehicle shortages, ODOT hasn't done a state purchasing program contract for a while. So this will be bought through Hiddles, a local dealer, to buy them, but they still give us a discount, and then we also receive a government fleet discount on top of that.
Is that how we bought all of them then, was through Hiddles or?
So far, yes.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, a resolution authorizing Safe Service Director and enter into a contract with Choice One for Sidewalk Project Phase 2.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for professional services related to Phase 2 of the sidewalk project. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for the rendering of professional services in 2024 relating to Phase 2 of the sidewalk project.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for professional services related to Phase 2 of the sidewalk project. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for professional services related to Phase 2 of the sidewalk project.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt a resolution. Discussion.
Where is Phase 2 at?
Kind of over by the K-8 building, east side of Greenville, and then over around the old North School area as well.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, next we have a resolution authorizing advertising for Phase 1 of the sidewalk project.
A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for Phase 1 of the sidewalk project for 2023. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for Phase 1 of the sidewalk project in 2023.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution its second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for Phase 1 of the sidewalk project for 2023. A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for Phase 1 of the sidewalk project for 2023.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Moving on to number 9, resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer lining.
A resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer lining. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for the sanitary sewer lining project.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer lining. A resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer lining.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to adopt the resolution. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 10, a resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer grouting.
A resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer grouting. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for the sanitary sewer grouting project.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer grouting. A resolution authorizing bidding for sanitary sewer grouting.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the resolution. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, and the last one, we have a ordinance increasing number of street openings in connection with the 2023 Omni Fiber project.
An ordinance increasing the number of street openings to be permitted and reducing the amount of the guarantee bond to be required in connection with the 2023 Omnifiber project. This ordinance increases the number of street openings to 10,000 and reduces the amount of the guarantee bond to $1 million, as well as waives the fee for any soft surface locate holes in connection with the 2023 Omnifiber project.
Move
Go ahead.
move to suspend the rules and give this ordinance its second and third reading by title only.
Excuse me. Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
An ordinance increasing the number of street openings to be permitted and reducing the amount of the guarantee bond to be required in connection with the 2023 Omnifiber project. An ordinance increasing the number of street openings to be permitted and reducing the amount of the guarantee bond to be required in connection with the 2023 Omnifiber project.
Move to adopt the ordinance.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion.
Is there anything like, if they, any need for like any kind of an emergency thing, like if they like, I don't know, hit a utility a couple times or something, can we like shut it down? Like if they're,
Yeah, and so if there's problems, then we bring them back in. Yeah.
okay. All right.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we have no new business. Under old business, we have a tabled zoning amendment. If there's anyone who would like to do anything with that.
Not yet.
Not, we will move on. Council representing outside committee, Greenville Union Cemetery. So who would like to talk about Greenville Union Cemetery?
I suppose I get to. So we had a board meeting today. Primarily, one of the biggest things on there was the lady that was here last week, or a couple weeks ago, talking about the trees and whatnot. We had a very long discussion. There was a couple of us from here that were in there. I think perhaps that we could come to some kind of a resolution there. And so she still seemed pretty upset over how bad the trees were cut. President Baumgartner was there, and he was trying to smooth stuff over about as well as anybody could expect. So it was, she was very animated, just as she was last week or 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I don't really know if anybody has any specific questions to it. I don't know that we came to a perfect resolution, but the one thing that we did talk about was the fact that the cemetery doesn't want to spend, and she doesn't want to spend, the money required to survey the land. And so because of that, I mean, ultimately, like, they're going to have some sort of gentleman's agreement or play nice with
The property lines.
Yes, yes. And so some of the struggle has been over the years on, as you go back the property and some of the old tombstones in the very first part of the cemetery. I mean, that dates all the way back to, I believe, 1850 is what we had said today. And so the creek has just eroded away at the ground over time, and some of the tombstones had fallen, cracked. Who knows if it's, teenagers or whoever else has chucked a couple of them into the creek back there. It's hard to say. And so just really trying to come to an agreement as to where people are trimmed and who goes and gets what tombstone that's out of place and so on. So one of the things that was brought up today was trying to, do we look at it from a city perspective of some sort of a fund to help the cemetery over time, whether it's 1, 2 a year with some of these old tombstones. That was discussed as well. Because if you walk through some, especially that old lot, there's a lot of stones that are broken. There's a lot of stones that are leaning. There's stones that have fallen over. And so it would be nice to be able to do something for them. Understanding at the same time that there's not millions of dollars out there to do that. So, but if anybody has any questions, otherwise.
Any questions? Okay, moving on to communications.
There are monthly reports from July from the fire department and monthly reports from April, May, June, and July from the police department.
And I always forget, do we do a call council first and then go to executive? Okay, call council.
Rogers?
I'm going to pass tonight.
Schmidt?
Pass.
Whitaker?
I wanted to just comment on the wrapped power boxes with the artwork. I want to thank the high school students who developed the artwork. It was great artistic ability displayed there, and I wanted to thank Joe Wintrow Science, for donating his time and efforts in putting those up. And they were all up by the First Friday's Artisans Show, and a lot of positive comments about it. And later on in the year, we'll be hearing about the murals that'll be going up around town. So with that, I pass.
Brown?
I'd echo what Jeff said about the First Friday. The boxes look great. I thought it was a great turnout. Youth for Christ had quite a few games going on, including, I think they were dunking Chief Roberts or some sort of water on him. I thought that was nice of him to play along there. They had odds out there for people to be able to get familiar with. My kids wanted nothing to do with it, but overall it was a great time and another nice job done. With that, I pass.
Ely?
I just wanted to tag on to that. That was Youth for Christ's first time joining with Main Street Greenville to do that. They were well pleased. I walked over and talked to their leadership. They were well pleased with how receptive Main Street Greenville was and how receptive the city has been to their projects in the past. So I think it's all about cooperation. With that, I pass.
Godwin?
Pass.
Norris?
Two quick things, back on the communications, department heads, we really appreciate when you give us a quarterly or monthly report. It's just nice to have that compiled together. Fire department, I'd just like to say a personal thank you to Dave Knapp for allowing the fire department to use those buildings that were torn down, the houses, cutting them with the tools, roof ventilation, ladder work and all that, and we appreciate that's a community support, which is very cool to that Dave Knapp Ford let us do that before that they were raised. Lieutenant, since you're here, communications officers need to be commended because they answered 1,708 calls in July. Just amazing. So our communications officers need to be commended for that. That's 55 calls in a 24-hour period. I know we had the 4th of July holiday and it started on the 1st and flows through the 5th. But I'd like to thank our communications officers. That had to be that's a lot of calls.
How many of them were fireworks complaints?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a handful in there.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, and with that, I'll pass.
President Baumgartner?
Yeah, I won't make a comment about my wife shooting fireworks off. Yeah, just, I like piggybacking off some of the things other council members talk about, but our first responders is, sometimes it's a thankless job, and you think about all those calls that, you have to go out and try to, but, domestic, from dealing with youth, just dealing with a lot of things out there. So just kudos to fire and police. So you guys do an awesome job. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to rise to executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Brown to rise to executive session. Call the roll.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.